Aloha and welcome to our quick start guide for the JVC GY-HC500. In this video, I'm going to walk you through doing white balance, exposure, and focus, and I'm going to do it in real time. So this is the quick version of the video. We'll be done in about 4 minutes. If you need a little bit more explanation, there's another version where I pause and talk about the whys of what it is I'm doing. But for this version, we're just going to plow straight through. All right, let's get started. In the bottom left-hand corner, you can see a close-up of the camera. You should be able to see any controls that I'm touching there. In the top left-hand corner, you can see the wide shot. So you can see my set with Woody and Bumble and their little desk, the camera, the lights, and you can even see the viewfinder of the camera that I use for the close-ups. The top right-hand corner is the output from the JVC camera. So this captures everything that you would see if you were looking at the viewfinder. Here we go. So let's get started. Obviously, I've already got everything set up and turned on. The first thing I notice is that it's really, really dark. So taking a look, I see that the neutral density was left on. I'm going to go ahead and turn that off. That gives me a little bit more to work with. And okay, zooming in a little bit here. First thing I'm going to worry about is my white balance. Now I've got a lovely piece of white foam core here. I'm just going to set on the stage. Really useful for doing white balance and exposure. I'm going to zoom all the way in so that the only thing I can see is the white foam core. And then checking to make sure my white balance is set to A or B but not preset, I'm going to push the white balance button. Oh my goodness, I got an error. There's not enough light. Okay, let me crank the iris open a little bit and let's try that again. Perfect. I have a white balance, 4900K. Sounds good to me. All right, next thing I'm going to worry about is my exposure. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit more and start playing with the iris. What I'm looking for is zebra bars over everything that's bright. The zebra bars in this camera are set to 90%. That big white piece of cardboard should be bright. So I'm going to play with the zebra or the iris until the zebra bars pretty much cover that white piece of foam core. And you'll see that there are also zebra bars in the Woody's Roundup logo and maybe even a hint of them on the Bumble. Now let's focus. I'm going to zoom all the way in, not part of the way, not most of the way, all the way in on the eyeballs of my talent, and then get that focus just as sharp as I can. All right, now let's zoom back out and frame our shot up. At this point, I could start recording. I've got a good white balance, I've got a good exposure, but I know that I'm at f4.5, which means I don't have very much depth of field. Wow, would I like to have more depth of field. That means closing the iris down a little bit. But before I can do that, I have to adjust other things. Here you see me pushing the button for the shutter, and it's toggling on and off, showing me that I can either be in automatic or not have any control. If I instead push the button for the joystick, it will activate the shutter speed control. And then by pushing up and down on the joystick, I can change the shutter speed. So you see as it gets faster, I get darker. What I want to go is the other direction. So I can slow down to 1/30th of a second. That's as far as I can go. And look how much brighter it gets from a 60th to a 30th. See how those zebra bars just crawl over everything when I slow it down to a 30th. Now I can close my iris a little bit to compensate for that. And again, I'll close it down until I have zebra bars just on the top of the Woody's Roundup sign. That's how it was before I touched anything else. There we go. That looks pretty good. And now I'm at f5.6, maybe f6. Yeah, I'll have a little bit more depth of field, not a ton more, but a little bit more. So I was able to get one more stop of brightness there. Now I'm ready to shoot. I don't have any recording media in the camera, but if I did, now's the time I would press record. And there you have it. We have successfully set up. We've done white balance, focus, and exposure.